Now, I want to start, as we talk about staying focused while you're at UWI. Most of you, I suspect, have come through CAPE or community college, and you're going, worked hard, got the summer off, and now I'm ready to start again. But sometimes the energy level isn't as high as it needs to be. So how can we get in a space where we really are able to stay focused and do our best? One thing I want to start by pointing out is to realize that it is normal to feel overwhelmed for the first few days or even for the first few weeks because you're dealing with so many changes. Coming to you is a major transition. You have new people to deal with. So you're moving from a class of maybe 50 or 60 of you to being in a class with 300 people. You have lecturers rather than teachers, and the interaction style is different. You have new classmates. Some of you have come up here, and 4 friends you came up with, 2 are living off campus, 2 of you are on hall, but different halls, and you're in 4 different faculties. So you're going to have to make new friends. I also want to point out, which is really important, and you'll be reminded of this when anybody academic speaks to you, is that you also have to deal with a new pace for your studies. In CAPE, you have 9 months to prepare. At UWI, after 3 months, it is a final exam time. So the pace is completely different. In 3 months, you're going to have to understand the material and know it well enough to convince your lecturer on a final exam that you deserve an A or a B or a C, and hopefully not a D or an F. So the pace is very different at UWI. Many of you, of course, are living in a new place, whether it be on hall or you're renting somewhere off campus, but there are a lot of changes to adjust to. And so you need to be flexible enough to adapt quickly so you can focus on your priorities. And the important thing is the willingness to be flexible and to adapt. There are 2 questions I want you to consider, though, as part of that process. These may sound like almost ridiculous questions, but I ask them anyway. First question is, why are you here at UWI? And you're going to meet the lady to get a degree. Well, I've been around long enough to know that people come with different agendas. Getting a degree might be number 5 on a list of things. Sometimes the number 1 reason you are here is, I'm tired of living at home and I want to be on my own. Time to tell the parents goodbye. All right? For some of you, the idea is come to UWI and have a good time. This is my chance to network and make friends and enjoy myself. And the degree is somewhere down on that list. But I want to just have you think a little bit about being clear about why am I here. If you're here to get away from home and have fun, then classes really are not an issue. If, however, you are here to get your degree, so you can get hopefully a job when you graduate, or maybe if your main purpose is to learn all you can about a certain subject because it interests you, then going to classes, interacting with your lecturers, all that becomes really important. So the issue of why are you here is something that it's important to consider, because there are actually people here who have no purpose at all. They've come to UWI because it's the next thing to do. But I really don't know why. You know, I'm doing something. A favorite phrase is, I'm doing a course that UWI gave me because I wanted to do something, but I didn't get into that major. But I'm here nonetheless. And my answer to that is, you chose to come, and therefore you need to figure out, why am I here doing this second or third choice? What is my reason for being here? And what are my goals for my time here? So I'd like to recommend a little exercise to you. Sometime during the next busy week, take a few minutes to write down your goals for your time at UWI and pace them up in a prominent place, because you're going to need those reminders when the going gets rough. A little tip here too, your UWI goals should be linked to your life goals. Let me explain that. Your life goals are bigger than just career or academic goals. So your career goal may be to be a human resource manager in a large company, but your life goal might be to find ways to empower others, colleagues, family, friends to do their best. And so it will be both about learning your HR classes, but it's also going to be about building your interpersonal skills. And so you might choose your co-curricular activity to be one of the service clubs, because that's in line with your life goal. While you're here, what can you learn apart from classes that moves you in the direction of your life goals? You see, you'll have many opportunities to experiment with different ways of doing things, and it can help your personal growth to have these new experiences. But choices that conflict with your value system will normally lead to internal conflict. So take the time to think through what your life goal is and what your important values are, because every choice we make has a consequence. A little reminder, you probably know this already, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? And you do that by reminding yourself of your goals and using this to motivate you to persevere. Also, you've all gotten here by coping with some rough times already. Whether it was CAPE or it was something personal, you already have experience in handling difficulties. Think about how you coped with those issues before. Take those lessons and use them here at UWI. Now, I want to just recommend 3 critical skill areas as you remain focused at UWI. They are time management, study skills, and decision-making skills. And I'm going to make just a couple of brief statements about each one. With time management, remember that being at UWI is equivalent to having a job. I don't know if you've thought about it that way, but if your parents have a job, they go out to work, usually if it's a full-time job, for a 40-hour week, and sometimes they do overtime. You are actually on the job when you're at UWI. So you really need to be putting in a 40-hour work week and overtime sometimes. Maybe a revolutionary concept, because you didn't think of it that way, but let me just give you the maths to prove that. If, like in a lot of faculties, you are doing 5 courses, those 5 courses have 2 hours of lecture and an hour of a tutorial. That would make 15 hours in a week. Whether you attend the classes in person or virtually nowadays, it really does make sense to listen in to your lecturers. So that's 15 hours of your time taken. Now, the rule of thumb for individual work is for every 2 hours every hour in a class, you should be spending 2 hours either reading material, working on an essay, doing a problem sheet, but you should be spending 2 hours individually looking at that material somehow. That makes for 30 hours. So do the maths. 15 hours in class for the week, 30 hours of individual attention to schoolwork. That adds up to what, people? Any mathematicians out there? 30 plus 15 is? 45, thank you. 40-hour work week and a little overtime, sometime on a weekend. So that's our recommendation for you. And may I point out that those of you who really want to be on the ball are going to start that sort of work schedule from week 1 of classes. Those of you who don't can catch up. But the prime issue I find many students having is not spending enough time with their studies, because you get distracted by friends, by technology, by co-curricular activities, by whole activities. You need to make sure you take out your academic time first. A word on study skills. You probably know this, but know what your best study technique is, because not everybody studies well using the same approach. So do you work best alone or with a group? If it's with a group, then you need to find a study partner or a study group, not the week before exams, but in that first month. You want to make links with people you can talk to about your studies. Do you remember best if you hear information or see it? If you remember best what you hear, it is critical not to miss classes. If you remember best what you see, then your textbooks have to be your new best friend. And is practicing to manipulate the information important for you to remember, then it's all about the homework really being central. I like quotes, love quotes, have a collection of them, so I couldn't resist throwing this one in. Sorry guys if you're not into quotes. This is a Confucius quote, which says, "He who asks a question is a fool for 5 minutes. He who does not ask a question is a fool for life." Do not feel intimidated by being in large classes. If there is something you don't understand, put your hand up and ask it. All right? If you can't ask in the class because the lecturer is rushing through stuff, all lecturers have office hours. Know when your lecturer's office hours are and go to them during that time with your question. And of course, senior students can be helpful, and discussing academic work with others can also be useful, but ask the experts. They are here for that reason. My third point is around decision making. And that's just pointing out that your goals and values are what can help you make good choices when you have decisions to make. Because small decisions can have huge consequences. A decision about whether or not to attend a class may make the difference between passing or failing. A decision about whether or not to have sex without a condom can be the difference between a pregnancy that takes you out of school for a year or an abortion which leaves you uncomfortable for a long time. So small decisions can have huge consequences. For example, taking on a part-time job can help you financially, but it may bring down your GPA. So what should you do? Thinking about that question with your goals and values in mind can help you to make a good decision. If taking some of the financial stress off your family is a more important goal than having the grades to do postgraduate work, then you'll probably decide to take the job. Just a word though to those of you who are part-time students with full-time jobs. Resist the temptation to try to work full-time and study full-time so you can finish faster. Because something is going to get seriously shortchanged, and usually that's your academics. And so the honors degree that you're pretty sure you could get may then elude you. Another important decision is how involved to be in co-curricular activities. All of you should make time to do something apart from your activities, your academics. Learn a new sport. I learned to swim thanks to UWI's pool many years ago. Join a club. Go to the open lectures, the plays, the concerts. But don't major in your co-curricular activities. Some people actually do that. But when you do that, you do not end up with the degree you came here for. Focus on the academics. The co-curricular is the icing on the cake. And then a quick word about resources on my final slide. Just a couple of them I want to mention as ways to help you stay focused. The Academic Support Unit, you may have heard about it already, but this is a unit that for those of you who may have some challenges with English-based and math-based courses, they give extra assistance in small groups, and they come out of the Office of Student Services and Development. Placement and Career Services, of course, help with career issues, and you will no doubt hear more about them. Counseling services in the health center. Our counselors are all trained to master's or PhD level in psychology, and we are available to assist you with any concerns about your personal development. Whether they're academic concerns like study skill techniques or exam anxiety, or they're personal concerns like relationship problems, or hurts from the past that still affect you, or depression. Any of those issues we are available to help you with. Want to mention briefly that last year we ran a pilot project called UWI Helps, which was a text or telephone service and also an online service where you could put in a question and have an answer back in 2 days. We are hoping to restart that in September, and when it is ready, we will send an email out to all students and staff. Please make sure that you have set up your email so you get your UWI emails. You can forward it to whatever, but please check your emails from UWI, because that is how the university communicates with you, and that is how we will let you know that UWI Helps is back up and running. It's an easy way, because that's 24 hours with a text line. You can text them at 10 o'clock at night when our office is closed, and you will get an answer. All right? If you text at 2 a.m., you may not hear back till 8 o'clock next morning, but you get a fast turnaround time with the text. So when it's back up, please make use of that. The health center, just a word that your physical health does impact your academic health, so please stay well and use the resources at the health center. That's especially important if you are sick and not able to do an exam or hand in an assignment. Excuses can only come through the health center if they are medical excuses. So it makes sense to use the services there. Finally, best wishes for your UWI journey, and we hope it will be a very successful one.